Okay, hello Facebook. It's Neil here again as part of Inspiration Week. I'm delighted to have Alexandra Burns with me today. She's going to turn her video on in a second, I'm sure. And we're going to have a little chat ahead of her workshop on Friday. Alexandra, can you hear me?
Hello, yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Brilliant. I can indeed, yeah. Your video is not on though. Can you, that's a bit odd. Oh, there we go. Perfect. We're here. Great. Thank you for joining us. How are you doing? How is lockdown 3
I mean,
for you? How's that going?
it is what it is, you know. I am finding so many things to fill my hours, you know. You'd think that studying would somehow still at 7 o'clock at night, I'm still twiddling my thumbs thinking, what can I do? What can I do? But I spoke to somebody the other day who said that if you're bored, you're doing the right thing. So I think we've got to think about it.
Yeah. It's interesting because being bored, we don't like it, do we? We really don't like being bored.
No.
But the people in the know, they seem to think that learning how to be bored is a really, really healthy thing for a human to do, to be able to like just be bored. It's terrifying though. We hate it.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. Well, so we're in lockdown 3. You are part of our Inspiration Week, so thank you so much. You are a very experienced West End performer. And how many years were you working in the West End for?
So I graduated like 5 years ago, 2015.
Okay.
So yeah, kind of on and off in that whole time, really.
That whole time.
Yeah.
But now you've changed your kind of tack, and now your is education studies. Is that right? Have I got it right?
Education studies and English literature.
And English literature here at the University of Winchester. So thanks so much for kind of coming on and kind of aiding and adding your voice and your experience, because I mean I certainly know that in the music world, and I'm sure it's the same in the music theatre world, I was classically trained, and when you leave, I left university and then went to music college, and that seemed like a logical step, but I literally just fell from one step to the next, didn't really know what I was doing, muddled my way through a kind of opportunity. When an opportunity comes, you try and grab it as best you can with both hands, but so many different jobs along the way. How was your experience trying to kind of get in? Because I mean, I hate to think how many auditions, just like I did, how many auditions you've had to do and how you had to put yourself out there and those kind of things. How was that?
Yeah, I mean, much the same as you, really. This is probably going to sound like a bad thing, but it's not. There were some like extreme highs and extreme lows of kind of 1 minute I was selling ice cream in front of house at a theatre, and then the next day I got a call saying you're going to be working in the theatre next door on stage. It's just it's kind of all the crazy things you have to do, and like you said, all the crazy auditions as well.
Was that a specific call? Was that like one of the ones that comes out of the blue, or were you expecting that one?
It wasn't out of the blue as such, but it was a shock. It was for a big West End job, and I was working front of house, and I'd had one audition for this job, and much like lots of other things, usually you have to go through rounds and rounds and rounds of seeing various directors, casting directors, blah blah blah, for this one job. But I'd only done one audition for it, so it got to the end of the week and I thought, oh, I haven't heard anything, probably gonna wave goodbye to that in the back of my mind. And then as I'm walking into backstage of, like I said, working, ready to put on my uniform, sell my ice creams, I got a call from my agent saying you start rehearsals in 2 weeks. And so
wow.
yeah.
Isn't that amazing? These things, they kind of come out of the blue, don't they, sometimes? And
yeah.
So and you obviously worked very hard to get there. You studied, I can't remember where you studied. I did have that, but it's gone out of my head. Remind me where you studied.
Royal Academy of Music.
Royal Academy of Music, right. And so you graduated from there, and then did a million different jobs, and as well as getting roles and things in the West End. And so how was your experience working with that kind of portfolio career, I guess, is the way I kind of looked at it, you know, loads of different things that you're trying to, and you over time you try and do more of the things you want to do and less of the things you don't want to do, but you have to pay your rent. So how was that experience for you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was always somebody that, you know, I didn't necessarily sacrifice a lot to go to RAM, but you know, it's a big expense going to drama school, and you know, you don't have the hours in the day when you're at drama school necessarily to do those spare jobs. So
Mm,
I thought, you know what, I've spent all of this time, all of this money, you know, my acting jobs are going to come first. So, you know, it was always a case of, like you said, just grabbing things and saying yes to as much as I can.
mm,
And sometimes that was a great thing. And sometimes it wasn't a great thing, because I was, you know, running from a train station to get to working in a coffee shop, to then saying, oh, can someone cover me for an hour to run to an audition? And, you know, you end up
mm,
kind of doing a million things at once, which
mm.
isn't necessarily the healthiest thing, I suppose, to do. But then you wait for those calls, like I said, that I had, and that kind of makes those things all worth it, really.
Yeah, I agree. They do make it worth it, don't they? Which is, I guess, one of the reasons why for musicians at the moment, like yourself, like myself, this lockdown and this has been so um, you know, difficult, and it's difficult for everyone. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but so have you done any performing since March? Or like me, are you you still scrabbling around for the occasional thing online
You
and then
know,
forcing yourself to practice every now and then?
you know what? I was quite good at the beginning. I was, you know, and my friend was running like a musical theatre Zoom quiz. I was learning loads about things I didn't already know about. I was like recording loads of music myself, you know, emailing to kind of keep my name out there and keep myself kind of clinging onto something. And, you know, it kind of just, I think since probably the second lockdown was where it was like, okay, this is going on for a bit longer than I first kind of anticipated. And that's where
Yeah.
the kind of voice in the back of your head starts to creep in, thinking, oh god, maybe I'll just put that off for another day, and then a week goes
Mm.
by, and that kind of thing. So yeah, I
That's really
think
difficult, isn't it?
creatively it's tough. And also, you know, we're not really used to being in our homes doing these things. You know, it's such a like communal industry. You know, you can't do anything, no matter what anybody says. Even if you're doing a solo concert somewhere, you're not really doing it on your own. You're doing it with so
No.
many people helping you.
Mm,
So that's tough as well, the kind of finding the self motivation
mm.
to do it literally on your own in your bedroom or wherever you are, you know.
Yeah, and then there's the other side. I don't know if it's the same for you, but certainly is for me. The that your work colleagues are also your kind of a lot of your friendship group as well. So you didn't particularly make plans to go and socialize because you were socializing as part of your work, and then
Yeah,
suddenly the work gets cut off, and that kind of cuts you a bit of your social life off as well. So that element's quite tough for creatives as well.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
well, so on Friday, um, you're going to be running a session as part of Inspiration Week, all about life after graduation, because you graduated and then made it into the West End through all of the auditions and things. So what are you hoping our musical theatre students at the University of Winchester might kind of gain, or what are you hoping to share with them? What are you hoping that yeah, what are you hoping for? I mean, maybe even for you to get out of the session. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose the the main thing is kind of, I'll talk a lot about kind of how I navigated my way through. I went to a drama school, but you know, much of the same kind of basic principles are always the same. You know, you're kind of a bird flying the nest either way. You know, you're kind of left out there to kind of gauge for yourself your own experiences. So I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of what I experienced when I first graduated, and even kind of in the following, like I said, 5 years that I was in the industry. Because every job is different and every audition is different, and kind of how you navigate you want your career to go, I suppose. I'm going to talk a little bit about when you first graduate, kind of what things are the kind of norm to do, and what you should
The,
maybe expect.
the pathways that are
Yeah,
there. Yeah.
yeah, what you should
Are
expect.
they well-trodden pathways? Like your experience, is that similar to a lot of your other kind of colleagues and friends who are kind of graduating at the same time, or is it more that you kind of each have to find your own way through? I'm just wondering how well-trodden the path is.
I think that's really hard to answer, because I think it depends on, I think a lot of it does depend on where you've come from in your training, and how the
Mm,
industry kind of has kind of stages for you in your life. I think that, for example, if you are a dancer and you went to a dance school, you are a fantastic kind of model for someone who can be manipulated in many different ways and do loads of different things, but sometimes that longevity isn't always there. Whereas
mm,
sometimes on the flip side, if you maybe are slightly more individual and you don't necessarily fit the mold of, like, I don't know, ensemble member 3, you might find your first kind of graduating life, first years in your graduate life, to be maybe a little bit more tough, but then maybe that longevity for when you're in your kind of 30s, 40s, 50s, however long you want to do it for,
mm.
that is there. So yeah, it probably is a well-trodden path, but um I think for me it was definitely individual, and the school that I
Okay.
went to, my friends, definitely.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of things. Like certainly in the classical world, it sounds the parallels are there. That there's a a clear path a signpost which is saying this is a good place to start, but there are so many unseen kind of pathways and forks in the road which
Yeah,
are equal, their own opportunity in their own right. Yeah, and you've got to try navigate the murky world. Yeah,
absolutely.
it's a really tough one. And then there's all these things like about, your own, you have to treat yourself as a business, and you've got to, do your own tax and all of those those things.
I'm just going
Have
to
you
say
done?
now, it's not going to be a session on doing your tax return,
No,
that's for
please.
sure.
No, that is not. Oh my gosh. Yeah. People occasionally ask me how you do your tax, and well, I kind of lock myself in a room for a day and then hope that I've done it all right by the by the end.
Everyone says, oh, submit. I hope that's right. Let's hope
I
they
hope
don't,
that's right.
you know.
I had a nightmare this year because I forgot to save my tax as an Excel sheet. I only saved it as a download sheet, a SCV, whatever they're called, and
Oh, right.
they only save one tab. So I had like 10 tabs all organized, and I lost them all. It was a
Oh,
nightmare. I lost 5 hours of tax, and losing tax is the worst, because it's not fun. It's not like you get to have fun for 5 more hours. Anyway, we're digressing. Forget all of that stuff. We'll cut that bit out.
yeah.
We've had someone comment actually on the Facebook stream and asking if you are a vocal teacher as well. Is that something that you do, have done, continue to do, teaching?
Well, yes. Kind of that's what brought me to Winchester, really, in some
Okay.
sort of way. I have had experience of teaching, mostly up to 18 years old. I haven't necessarily ventured into kind of degree level stuff yet, but that's exactly kind of why I've come to Winchester.
Mm,
Um, to Unfortunately, you sometimes have to have the piece of paper and the degree at the end of it to say, yes, I've got this piece of paper, I've got a qualification. And when I went to RAM, it wasn't a degree course, so yes, I am slash will
yeah.
be.
Yes, will be. So if I'm guessing though, so any students who are watching this, and whether they watch it now or whether they watch it later, whether they watch it when I upload it to YouTube or whatever, they come along to the session, and you are open to people getting in touch and saying, will you give me a couple of sessions?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
and do that, because I mean, people watching now won't have heard you sing. I, though, have heard you sing, and Alexandra is absolutely brilliant. So yeah, really, really excited for everyone to see what they can get out of. What can we get out of you? Let's wring all the knowledge out of your brain and see what we
Please
can
do.
get out. Yeah,
Because also
please
I
do.
think, just in terms of like what I'd like to get out of it, is, for lack of a better word, it has been so isolated. And I
Mm,
haven't had the chance to meet, I'm doing a course that's quite different to what I've done up until now, and it'd be so nice to meet some kind of, dare I say, like-minded people, you know. So yeah,
Yeah.
totally up for connecting as well.
Brilliant. Well, we'll get a lot of people along. Will anyone who's watching come along to the session? It's 5 o'clock on Friday, so I guess you can bring your dinner with you. Do people eat at 5 o'clock? I don't know. My kids eat at 5 o'clock, but I think most normal people eat a little bit later.
Yeah,
So
it's like the scale. Are you either 5 or 85? And that's
I do. Yeah, that's when you eat. Yeah, everyone else a bit later.
yeah.
Yeah. So Alexandra, thanks so much for giving up some of your time to talk to me now. Really looking forward to your session on Friday. Yeah, thanks for that.
Thank you.
And we'll see you on Friday.
See you Friday.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks everyone. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.